Okay, I want to do like another a rant style video, and I think what I want to do is talk about music because music is a huge passion of mine. I don't make it, but I consume it all the time. I run like a rap Instagram page. Even I'm not gonna like plug it or anything, but that is something I actively do. So like, yeah, I love music, rap music especially. Although I'm a little bit outside the genre, but not that far. I'm mostly a rap guy, which I'm cool with. And like this year has been so good for rap music, man. It's been such a good year, and I just want to like shine a light on some projects that have dropped. Some pretty well known, some flew really under the radar, which I think is a shame because they're really good. But yeah, I just want to talk about this. I'm gonna open up by talking about my personal. I don't know. There's two albums that are like album of the year, like candidates for me, like the top two. There's a lot of album of the year candidates, but like there's only two to me that like stand like above the rest, and that is The Forever Story by JID and then Melt My Eyes Here featured by Denzel Curry. That is my top two albums of the year. I think they're both fantastic projects by two of the best rappers in the game today. I'm gonna focus on the Forever Story first because I've been listening to it more. It came out more recently. I want to shine a light on that. Although I feel like I don't really need to. I feel like people are aware of that album. I feel like Gibbs really gaining traction as he should. He's one of the best technically proficient, like technically skilled rappers in the game today. And he also has that mainstream appeal to him, which I think is part of the reason why he's been blowing up. But the Forever Story is a fantastic project, top to bottom. I don't think there's really any weak tracks on it. I can't say there's like one that I look at and I'm like, yeah, that's a skip. It's just really good. And it has like everything. It's got storytelling, it's got a good beat selection, really good production, great lyricism, a good vibe. It has everything that you really look for in an album. It's just really good. And it's definitely a step up from his previous projects. I like the Never Story a lot. And I really like DiCaprio too. DiCaprio too. I got like really into hip hop in 2018. So that was a big album for me. That was like around the time I was like really getting into it was when that album came out, and I spun it a bunch. I love that album. But the Forever Story is just something else entirely. It's just a whole step up. For me personally, it's a solid like 9 out of 10. It's so good, and just like I said, every track is just beautiful, and it's like a comfortable album to listen to. Even like though some of the subject matter is like serious and even like emotional, it's just like I can just spin it and feel good. I can just sit down, lay down, just relax, and just spin it and just enjoy it. And I think for me that's a really important aspect in the album. Obviously, I don't look for that in all my music because not all music is like relaxing or chill. But that's like my favorite type of music, and I think the Forever Story does that really well, while also just being a great album to just like listen to if you like lyricism and stuff like that. It's really good, and it deserves all the love it's been getting. um, and then I want to talk about "Melt My Eyes Here" featured by Denzel Curry. I'm gonna be honest, this album took a little bit to grow on me. I was a huge fan of Taboo. That also came out in 2018, and I say that and J. Cole's album KOD were like the two most important albums in getting me into hip hop. Which is funny because looking back, like I like KOD, but it's not like one of my favorite albums. I like Cole's catalog, like 2014 Forest Hills Drive, For Your Eyes Only, even like the off season a little more than I like KOD. But I still like respect and admire like what he did on KOD just because of the influence it had on me at the time. That's besides the point though. The focus is on not even on Taboo, but Taboo. Yeah, I love that project. I love Imperial too by Denzel Curry, and like the albums he dropped since then. Zoo, I liked. I don't love it, but I do like Zoo, and both the unlocks were really good, especially Unlocked One. Him and Kenny Beats have great chemistry together. But I want to talk about my Eyes to Your Future because it's one of the best albums to drop this year, and it took me a while to realize that, but like it absolutely is. From like a from like the perspective of like it's similar to the JID album, like it has a good vibe to it, but it's also really just well wrapped, like lyrically. Everything about it is super crisp, super well done. And the production is just fantastic. And there's a clear like sort of like a feeling and like a narrative to it almost. Denzel's talking about something on every track, and a lot of them cover similar subject matter, but the way he does it is never boring. It's always entertaining, and it's always really just enjoyable to listen to, which I think is another super important aspect of music. Tracks like Melt Session Number One. Melt Session Number One is like one of my favorite songs of the year, period, on any album. It's so good. It's such a good intro too. Like the fact that that's the intro is crazy to me. Walk In, one of the best tracks to come out in the last like maybe 4 or 5 years. It's such a good album. It's arguably Denzel's best in terms of like pure, like objectively looking at it. It's such a fantastic song. It's not my personal favorite Denzel song, but it's top three, probably definitely top five. It's just great, and just like the music video for it. If you haven't watched the Walking music video, definitely watch that because that one it's so much like it's so much fun to watch. It's like watching a movie. Like it's really just well done, and just the whole like I feel like something that kind of gets overlooked in albums is like the aesthetic of it. I know aesthetic is kind of like you might see it as stupid because it doesn't really affect how the album sounds, but I do think an album's aesthetic can be a real thing. Like just the it's just like the feeling of it, like not feeling of it because that's like that's part of it, but I think it's more just like the style, you know. Like this album had a lot of like sort of movie or like Western style undertones to it. And, like there's a song called John Wayne and stuff like that, and just some of the lyrics and references. And Walking, the music video shows that a lot. But I think that's cool as hell. I think that's something Denzel does really well, and he's just so fantastic. Like he is one of the most consistent and one of the best rappers in the game, and has been for the past couple of years. Like probably since he entered the game, definitely at least since like he was on the XXL side for 2016. He's just really really good. One of my top 5 favorite rappers in the game. I absolutely love him. Uh, and My Mind Your Future, album of the year candidate, should have been nominated. Same with Forever Story, the Grammys, but the Grammys are kind of whack at this point. Um, let's talk about Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, Kendrick. Let's talk about Kendrick, of course. I'm gonna be honest. This is like a controversial opinion. I feel like I like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. It has a lot of great songs. I just don't love it, and the reason I don't love it is because it's Kendrick. Kendrick has such high standards to like live up to that. Like it's hard for me to just like love this album because like this is the same guy who made Good Kid, Mad City, which is my second favorite album ever. The same guy who made To Pimp a Butterfly, which is arguably the greatest project ever made, objectively, at least in like the rap genre, and that's debatable, but like it's up there for sure, undebatably. And like even like Damn was still a great project. You know, it won a Pulitzer. Like he's done nothing but drop fantastic albums, and this is still a fantastic album. I can say that, but it's just to me it isn't quite as good as his other albums. It just falls a little short, and not even like it doesn't even do anything really wrong. It's still really good. It's just his standards are so high that I just can't love it. But there is tracks I love, like Count Me Out. I love Savior. I love Ed 95. I love. There's a lot of really great tracks on this album. The Heart Part 5. It was added onto the album afterwards, I think, but it was the lead single, so I'm gonna count it. At least on Spotify, it was added after. By the way, but that's a fantastic track. All the whole Heart series, and I think that's an amazing addition to it. But it's a really, really good album. Like you can't say Kendrick didn't drop a good album this year and doesn't have an album of the year candidate. It's just one I don't love, but it's still really, really good, and I'm not gonna like hate on it, you know, because it's still good. But definitely, and obviously, like it's Kendrick, is gonna get love, is gonna get praise as it should. So I can't like it's not one of the ones I can sit here and say is like flying under the radar. It's not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely a really good project. Not my favorite, but I definitely deserves like a shout, a mention, and it definitely deserves to be talked about. Let's talk about an album that was underrated by me, and I'm gonna say it, and I feel like a lot of people aren't even going to have heard of it. But "Laughing So Hard It Hurts" by a rapper named Mavi is a really, really good project. Mavi had an album a couple years ago. I think it was 2019 called I think it was "Let the Sun Talk," and I just got put onto that project recently. And yeah, "Let the Sun Talk." Yeah, I just got put onto it recently, and it's a really, really good album. But I think like "Laughing So Hard It Hurts" is arguably better. I don't think it has a song better than the best song in that album, which is a song called "Self Love." If you've never heard that track, go listen to it. It's fantastic. But it's just an all around more cohesive and, in my opinion, slightly better project. And it's just like it's just really, really good. Like I don't know what else to say. It's just all around solid. Has some really, really great tracks, some really, really solid rapping. His voice, if I could compare him to anyone, is similar to like Earl Sweatshirt. He's kind of got that monotone kind of delivery, but it just works really well. And I think his production's a little bit more relaxed and like laid back than like Earl's is a little less poignant, but I still think he kind of gives a similar vibe. And he's just like he's a very talented lyricist. I think in terms of up and coming talent, he's really one to watch because he's young, rapper out of St. Louis. He's fantastic, and this album is just it's beautiful. The outro, Last Laugh, is beautiful. Hi John's a great intro. Dubs is awesome. Quiet on Set is awesome. Like looking at the track, this is fantastic. It's only like 38 minutes, so it's like that's like a really sweet spot in my opinion. It's not too short, but it's definitely not that long. You can listen to it very easily, and I think if you're into like sort of like chill, kind of lyrical hip hop, I think you'll enjoy it. I definitely recommend that. That's "Laughing So Hard It Hurts" by Mavi. Definitely recommend that. It's a great project. Definitely underrated. Uh, Also want to talk about Smino's album. I'm gonna get that one a shout. I'm going to see Smino and JID for that matter in concert in March, so I have to give Smino's album a shout. Love for Rent, great project. Great project. Smino is one of the best in the game. Top 2 rapper out of Chicago, alongside Saba, in my opinion. That's controversial. Chicago's filled with great talent. You can pick whoever you want, and I'm not going to disagree with you. That's just my personal top 2. Mick Jenkins third for me. But yeah, both honestly, both Smino and Saba's album. I almost forgot about Saba's project was great too. A few good things. Both great projects. Smino has one of the most unique voices in hip hop, both in terms of just like how it sounds and also just like the way he delivers things. It's just you're listening to a Smino track, and that's a really good trait to have is being unique. And also it's just enjoyable to listen to. Like he's such a just like the word vibe. I feel like I don't know if I've even said it a lot here, but it's something I say in general a lot. But his vibe is fantastic. It's really it's chill, but it's very like focused too at the same time. Like it's very enjoyable to listen to, and you just like kind of chill and just kind of you could like smoke to it if you wanted to. Like you could do whatever you wanted, and it's just like it's gonna be there because it's just an enjoyable, chill, laid back kind of vibe to it. Yeah, and that's kind of what Smino specializes in, and he does it really well here, while also having some really good lines and lyrics throughout. And I think that's a really good balance to have to both be laid back but also very lyrical. I think he does that well. I think Isaiah Rashad also does that well. And Sabbath to a degree. I don't think he's as laid back as those two, but he's definitely a very good lyricist. But yeah, Love for Rant, fantastic. Dropped, I think, last month. It's very recent, but it's very, very good. Definitely recommend. Blue Billy is a track I'd recommend off that. That one's super good. I really like Curtains and Leon Levy. I've just listened to the whole thing top to bottom because they're all really, really solid. And if you enjoy just like chill, hip hop again, I think you'd like that one. Soul Sold Separately by Freddie Gibbs. I'm gonna be quick, but Freddie Gibbs is just he's amazing. One of the best rappers in the game, has been for years now. Consistency, longevity, he has it all. He's fantastic. And in a similar vein, so is Pusha T. They both dropped albums this year. Pusha T features on Freddie's album, but Pusha T's album, It's Almost Dry, same thing, fantastic. The Coke rappers, you know what to expect when you listen to their projects, but they do it so well that it doesn't even matter. Like they're both just great lyricists, great rappers. It's just good music. And it's not for everybody. I can admit that, but it's just I definitely recommend it to a lot of people if you're into that kind of hip hop. I'm gonna talk about one non hip hop one, and that is Steve Lacy's album, Gemini Rights. Bad Habits, the big track. Everyone knows that once on TikTok and everything. It's a good track. I feel like it's unfortunate that it got overplayed so much because it really is a good song, but it's just like people are tired of it because it was everywhere, and I can't blame them. But there's so many good songs on this album that I feel like got overshined because of that. Because Static, great track. That one's a little popular on TikTok too, so maybe that's not the best example, but that one's really good. Helmet is fantastic. Mercury is great. Buttons is good. Sunshine's good. It's just a really good album. It's a really, really good album. And it's unfortunate that Steve Lacy blew up off TikTok because he's such a talented like artist. Not even just as a singer, as a fantastic producer. He produced some of my favorite tracks in general for Kendrick, Isaiah Rashad. He's awesome. Like he's a great artist, and it's unfortunate the way he blew up. But this album is really good. If you're someone who like kind of hates on like TikTok trending songs, I understand. But definitely like give the album a shot beyond Bad Habit because there's a lot of gems in there that I think surpassed that song in terms of quality and just didn't blow up the same way because I don't know. I guess they don't have that appeal, but just they're really good. I definitely recommend that song. I mean that album. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna kind of leave it off there. I talked about like 5, 6 albums. This was just like a rant style video. I love talking music. I could do it for days, but I'm gonna just cut it off here. I don't know if this content's gonna work for anybody, but if you were listening and were entertained, appreciate it. If you have some opinions on albums that I talked about or albums in general, feel free to talk about it in the comments or whatever. But yeah, shout out y'all for listening if you did, and yeah, shout out music, man. Music's great. Much love, guys. Peace.